Today I want to talk about how you're just one piece of content away from winning long term. Over here in beautiful Punta Mita, got to shoot a video by the water before I leave today. I was talking with a buddy the other day. His head of demand generation right now, so basically his head of marketing, is the guy I introduced to him, right? And this guy, I actually found him from a blog post that he wrote on a site, and I found it to be really well written. So I reached out to him and I had him write a couple posts for my site. I introduced him to another friend, and so he went to work for another company as kind of the VP of marketing. And then he went over to work for another one of my friend's companies, right? And it's only because he produced that one piece of content that I was able to make that connection for him. I'm not saying it has anything, it's more so on his side because he's actually good at what he does. And that's how I found him in the first place. Now he's the VP of demand generation. A couple years ago, he was just, working lower level position, right? And so everything can change with one piece of content. I'll give you another example. When I read Neil's blog post, right? Quick Sprout on link blending. That's how I got to know Neil in the first place. With Neil, I was just like, hey, what is link blending? I reached out to him, and that's how our relationship got started. Because I read one piece of content, and that one piece of content changed my life. And I would venture to say that it changed his life too, because we now have a podcast together called Marketing School, which I recommend you guys check out. It's daily. It's really good. In fact, we're about to hit 1 million downloads, which is awesome. And so even for us too, we also have a ton of content out there. One guy binge listened over the weekend. He said, I listened to 30 episodes. My daughter listens to you as well. We'd like to do a deal with you. And that leads to a contract that's worth a couple $100,000. In fact, 15% of our business comes from podcasting. So it's often just one piece of content that can change everything, right? And even with one of my buddies, Yaniv, who runs, co-founder of a company called Nextiva, I got to speak at his conference because he was kind of monitoring my content over a couple years, and he said, in fact, he followed me before I even took over a company, right, when I was working at Treehouse. So if you keep going, you keep making your content better and better. I'm not saying I'm the best, even with this video stuff right now, I'm not the best, right? But you're gonna get better and better over time, and then people are gonna find you, and it's one piece of content that can change everything. I'll give you one final example. So I did a webinar to our email list. This was a couple years ago, and then I was invited to speak at a conference in Brazil, right? And they're like, yeah, we're not gonna pay you, we'll pay for your hotel. You're gonna have to cover your own flight. And what ended up happening was I paid $2,000 or $3,000 for a flight to speak for 20 minutes on stage. But you know what happened? I got to hang out with a bunch of Americans in Brazil, and one of those guys happened to be a conference organizer. His name is Vasil. He runs the Growth Marketing Conference. So then I started to be able to speak at the Growth Marketing Conference, and that led to me being able to speak in Paris, London, Brazil. It just led to all these other connections because more people started to find out about me because I got to speak at his conference, and he made other connections for me. The webinar led to the live event, which I had to pay for, and I had to fly 14 hours to Brazil for, speak for 20, 30 minutes, and then fly 14 hours back. But I made that connection, just that one touch point. And then that led to speak at his conference, and that led to other conferences. And that's why I'm able to speak around the world right now. So look, it often just starts with one seed, and it can change everything. So look, if you enjoyed this video, just subscribe. Let me know what you think, and we'll see you in the next video.